I always look that way, don't I?
Welcome to our Candlelight evening service. We'll start at 4 o'clock.
Thinking that I want to have a glass of wine already, but that might not be too appropriate.
Well, $1
Yes.
Wait till 5 o'clock. Wait till 5 o'clock.
How you been doing, Jerry?
Okay.
Aren't we all? Yeah.
I think that's a good thing.
We're gonna see if we're gonna let you get it.
Hello. Happy birthday today.
Not allowed.
Ready? Ready? All right. You keep bending over like, you know.
I'm gonna put everything down and start over.
He's bending over again.
These guys got me all just about it. They're more nervous now. I can't.
Bending over. Good laugh.
I'm getting that right now. Just coming back. I don't talk to people like that. So basically, they go down and just because you answer that one thing.
Hi, how are you?
I mean, these are
I'm not trying to do well, yeah, you know.
I never realized.
I have no. You're not happy for take your ball of money. So in one sense, touchstone, really. No, and he was a. I don't want to say difficult, let me just say he was very
All sentences. I mean, I do remember.
He did. And he lived, Jim, he lived there the same thing already. Yeah, right, actually.
Okay, so.
I made a living on working with.
I see you.
What's that?
In Baylor Sharp.
Going to Epworth Park. We're going to be TV. One day.
So are you staying here for the whole week? Yeah. Yeah, so you get 2 services on Saturday, 1 on Sunday. And it'll be a quiet week after that, which is fine with me. And then the week after that, the first week of January. sort of holiday service.
Solstice, yeah. First,
I got home and I church was on about
it's like a holiday.
right. That this one's here. I really don't like this.
No, it's really, and that'll save me from. No,
Whatever, it doesn't matter.
no, why don't I do it? Hey, Gwen? The board approved getting forward the air purifiers. Good. Right. So we're gonna get three of them, Cheryl, basically.
Okay.
She can do it from,
Yeah, there's no reason not to.
Yep.
I can't get a better price.
Thank you, Beth, for that beautiful prelude. And thank you in advance for all the beautiful music I'm sure we'll hear this afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. And welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Door County. My name is Hank Wolst. Today I'm honored to be your service leader for this very special solstice service and food. Our first potluck meal in pretty close to 3 years, I guess. Pretty exciting. As always, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to this Fellowship of Kindred Spirits. The operative word is all because we truly are welcoming to all. Welcome. Electronic devices can be distracting. Please silence your devices if you haven't already done so. And while we've gotten pretty good at managing the sound system in here, there are times we might not get it spot on. So if you can't hear anything, raise your hand and we'll see what we can do to make some adjustments so that you can. Some of you may be new here. Some of you may not have been here for a while. It's our custom to allow you to stand and introduce yourselves if you're willing and if you're able. Please raise your hand and the mic will find you. And tell us your name. Tell us where you're from. Maybe tell us anything else you'd like to share with us. So, some guests. Yes. The mic will find you so that you can be heard by everyone.
Sue and Bruce Gottschall visiting Julie Newman, and we're from Chicago.
Welcome. That appears to be it then. What a delight it is to be up here again as your service leader. A combination of timing and travels and knee replacements and family visits has all basically precluded my being up here for a while, and it's nice to be back. However, today I'm also a bit humbled. You see, 2 weeks ago I was here at the service, and I was attired in an orange jacket. The Oranje van Nederland had just defeated and eliminated the United States in the World Cup, and I was frankly feeling a bit cocky. And then Nederland came up against Argentina, and things got a bit messy. Albeit it was decided on a penalty shootout, 4-3. Can't get any closer than that. Today, it got messy for France, as well as they lost in a penalty shootout 4-2 to Argentina. So congratulations, Argentina, but don't cry for me. We provide space in our order of service at this time for announcements. And so please raise your hand if you have something to share with us in the terms of an announcement. And the mic, again, will find you. For the benefit of those watching, please give us your name so that they will know, because they can't see you. They're only focused on right up here. Do we have any announcements? Gwen.
My name is Gwen Grayboys, and I'm chair of our environmental committee, and I'm happy to be back here, even though it's 25 instead of 75, even though it's cloudy. I mean, even though I shoveled 1.5 inches of ice off the driveway instead of sitting on the beach, and even though it's cloudy instead of sunny, it is home. And sunny brings me to the point of the announcement. Did you know that solar panels are more efficient in Wisconsin than they are in Florida? As it gets hotter and hotter, the efficiency of solar panels goes down. So I'm here to give a plug for our solar project for the fellowship. We are 2/3 of the way to our goal for the installation as well as a contingency fund. So we've still got a bit of a way to go, but we're excited to be able to do this. We feel this is like a gift from us to us, but it's also a gift from us to the community, because any additional solar that we generate is turned back into the grid for all WPS customers to use.
Fantastic, thank you very much. It's a neat project. Any additional announcements? I have not an announcement, but a request. Would that be Bruce? This thing keeps going out. Do we need to put a new candle in here or something? Otherwise, I can just use matches.
Under the poinsettia.
Under the poinsettia. Here they are.
That's a rookie. Rookie version.
Sure, just use that.
Because I think that that's straightened out.
Okay. Okay, Bruce, on the lighter side. We will now do the chalice lighting. Thank you, Bruce. And accompanying the chalice lighting are words from St. Francis of Assisi, who said, "All the darkness in the world cannot extinguish the light of a single candle." A couple of days from now, we'll see the shortest day of the year and the longest night of the year, darkness. The topic that our guest speaker will enlighten us on today. The Reverend Jim Honig is no stranger to us here. He's the minister of Shepherd of the Bay Lutheran Church up in Ellison Bay. In the past year or two, I've gotten to know Jim a bit better, and he's spoken to us on several occasions. I've come to admire his leadership in matters near and dear to him. Jim was a leader in mobilizing an early multi-denominational fundraising effort for Ukrainian relief back in March, using his fellowship building church to do that. I think raised several thousands of dollars. He's a leader in the cause for affordable housing in the community, serving as the president of the Door County Housing Partnership. He hails from Nebraska, but he's been up here for about 15 years. Am I correct on that?
Some days it feels like 15.
Okay. And we certainly look forward to his reflection today. So at this point in the service, please stand if able and comfortable for our statement of purpose, followed by the singing of the doxology. Both are printed. Oh, I beg your pardon. Is it the hymn now? This is, like I said, it's been a while since I've been doing this. Hymn 244, it came upon a midnight clear. Thank you. Thank you.
suffered long. Beneath the angels' reign of rule, 2,000 years of wrong. And will find no wars here now, for all oh, hush the noise of battle strife, and hear the angels sing. Oh, the days are hastening on, my prophet once foretold, when with the ever-serving years and from the age of gold, and they shall over all the earth His ancient splendors flame. And the whole world give back the song which now the angels sing.
Now, please stand if able, and you already are, so you're all able. Let's do the statement of purpose and the doxology. We gather to seek knowledge and wisdom, to explore freely the vast reaches of mind and spirit, to celebrate within a caring community those truths, ancient and modern, which give meaning and direction to our lives. Joy can lift the heart. Concern can weigh it down. Sharing with a community of friends can raise the joy to greater heights, or provide balm and lessen the weighty burden of concern. If you have a joy or a concern that you'd like to share, we invite you to do that with us. Please note that this service is live streamed, and please respect others' privacy if you haven't cleared whatever you might say about them with them. So joys and concerns. The mic once again will find you. Marilyn?
Yesterday, I heard from my son. He has a colleague who lives in Pune, India, which is where my late husband spent much of his life before he emigrated to the United States. My son Eric made arrangements with this colleague of his. He gave him Phil's ashes, and this man took them back and happens to live across the road from Phil's cousin. In that farmstead where his cousin lives, they have a memorial garden. And so they interned the ashes there yesterday. So after 2.5 years, Phil has finally come home.
Thank you for that.
Hi, Karen Linzenz here. As I told the congregation about 3 or 4 months ago, my brother was very ill with stage 4 lymphoma, and then there was this miraculous recovery. Well, unfortunately, they did find that some of it had has gone to his brain, so he is in hospice as I speak.
Hi, I'm Anna Knapp, and as many of you know, I'm very involved in the Girl Scouts. This is my 10th year of being a leader, and both my girls are in pretty active troops. I don't know if you saw the newspaper article that was in this Friday's Pulse, but the council is looking to get rid of our local Girl Scout camp. So this is really a big deal to us, and you'll probably hear me talking about it a lot. I met recently with the CEO from the Girl Scout Council and just begged to keep our little Girl Scout camp active. So please read the article if you haven't already, and be ready when I come talking to you about how we're trying to save the Girl Scout camp.
My joy is this visit from my Chicago friends of over 50 years. I'm really wonderful.
You must have been friends as children.
I didn't cue Beth, but I suspect she knows this song. We have among us today someone who's been among us almost forever, but really only 90 years. Yesterday was Dottie Garrett's 90th birthday. My hiking partner and dear, dear friend of all of us. Happy birthday.
Thank you, everybody.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Connie. Happy birthday to you. And many more.
And yesterday was your birthday. All right, I'll wait 6 years.
Any further joys and concerns? Yes, over here, Ellen.
Hi, Alan Kapishke. Some of you know my mom, Ginny, who lived up here for a few years. Just want to let you know that her smoldering myeloma has advanced to multiple myeloma. It's currently well controlled with the chemo, but she has a number of other conditions, and so her immune system is pretty degraded at this point. Probably not going to be making any more trips up here, but just wanted to let you know, and your thoughts are appreciated.
Okay. Carol, at this point, the choir.
Deep in the heart of late December, softly the snow begins to fall. Slowly the night turns into darkness as we begin the longest night of all. Watching, waiting, light is fading on the longest night of all. Looking around, we see the darkness burning within. We hope for light. Here in our circle, deep in dreaming, silently wait throughout the night. Watching, waiting, light is fading on the longest night of all. Oh, you can see it, can you feel it? Has a different time begun? Here in the dark of late December comes the brightness of the sun. Watching, waiting, light is breaking
on the longest night of all. Watching, waiting, light is breaking on the longest night of all.
And now we have the offerings ring. Let us now take a moment to pause and ponder, to ruminate and reflect, or to simply be. Our reading today is of the poem To Know the Dark by Wendell Berry, Kentucky farmer, academic, poet, novelist, and activist, now in his 9th decade. To go in the dark with a light is to know the light. To know the dark, go dark. Go without sight. And find that the dark too blooms and sings and is traveled by dark feet and dark wings. Our speaker, the Reverend Jim Honig.
First of all, on a personal note, let me just say thank you for the invitation to be here for this festive service with you. As Hank said earlier, it is a gathering of kindred spirits, and I am privileged and honored to be among you as a kindred spirit. For 2 summers when I was in college, I worked at a Lutheran summer camp. It was in eastern Nebraska. We had kids from all over the area, eastern Nebraska, western Iowa, and some of the kids came from some of the hundreds of farms that covered the Nebraska landscape. And we also had a few kids from the city, mostly Omaha and Lincoln. There wasn't a whole lot of difference between the kids, the city kids and the country kids. Kids are kids, except when it came to the darkness. The city and suburban kids seem to have a particularly acute fear of the darkness. Now, you see, many of them had never really experienced darkness, the darkness of the outdoors at night. And so once a week, usually toward the end of the week, I'd take the kids out on a night hike after the campfire and before we went to bed. Now, the main rule was you can't use your flashlight. The city kids would freak out. What do you mean we can't use our flashlights? How will we see? Something will get us. We're going to get lost. Well, I would try to explain to them that the flashlights actually made it more difficult to see in the dark. Your eyes adjust to the bright light of the flashlight beam, I would tell them, and the only thing you can see is what's in the beam. But when you turn the flashlight off, your eyes adjust to the available light, and you can see remarkably well in the dark. Of course, they didn't believe me, but I insisted, and voila. After a few minutes, quite to their surprise, they began to see in the dark. And often that Thursday night hike became one of the favorite activities of the week. A whole new world opened up for these kids, and they were fascinated with what you can actually see in the darkness. Now, those city kids were not alone in their fear of the darkness. We have been acculturated to fear the darkness. The darkness in our culture has become the place of danger, the place where the boogeyman lives, where evil lurks in the shadows. But what if there are actually gifts that come to us in the darkness? What if the darkness, far from being the location of evil, is a place from where goodness can spring? Now, some of the gifts of the darkness are quite obvious. We are fortunate to live in a place where there actually is dark sky, devoid of light pollution. If you haven't, and I'm sure you have, go out to Newport State Park on one of those cold, clear January nights. Look at the moonless night sky, and you will be overcome with awe as you look at the vast expanse of the night sky. You will be overcome with awe as you watch the twinkle of those stars and you reflect that the light that your eyes are absorbing left those stars thousands, tens of thousands of years ago and is only now arriving at your sight. The darkness brings these gifts of awe and wonder. In the Northern Hemisphere, winter is a time when the days are shorter and the nights are longer. In fact, there are places north of even where we are. Yes, there are places north of where we are. Where there's a time each winter when the sun does not rise and darkness spans the 24 hours. Your service today is a celebration of that winter solstice, the point in time when the days are shortest and the darkness is longest. Now, we learn from the natural world around us how important the darkness and the accompanying time of winter hibernation are. In the northern climates, it's a time of dormancy. It's a time of rest. It's a time to pause from the work of production, to resupply, to recharge for the coming growing season. And it's a reminder, too, that, of course, we, too, need those times of rest and recovery. For most of us, darkness is a time when we sleep. What a gift that is, huh? Our bodies need rest. Our minds need rest. Our emotions need rest. For me, one of life's most wonderful, simple, enduring pleasures is that I crawl into bed and let my head rest on the pillow. And some days it's the first chance I've had to really fully relax, to let my mind and body release. And I love that time. Often just laying there with my head on the pillow, delighting in this moment of relaxation and the prospect of rest and knowing how deeply my body and mind need the time of rest. Now, for me, the other end of the darkness, the morning, is also a wonderful gift. I get up in the darkness, I make myself a cup of coffee, and then I go to my study and I sit in a comfortable chair in the darkness. It's quiet. No TV, no music, no devices, just the silence with which to. One way to describe 20th century American culture is that it is noisy. We are bombarded by messages from the market trying to convince ourselves the ways our lives are incomplete, and of that one more thing that we need that will change and satisfy our desires. Our politics have become noisy, often nothing more than shouting across the fence at each other. The voice that is most obnoxious wins. Our devices are ubiquitous. Not only are they always there, but they have been engineered to make us addicted to them, and that engineering has worked pretty well. And so that darkness can be an invitation to quiet the shouting, quiet the market, quiet the technology. And in the darkness, we can cultivate that silence that deeply feeds our souls. And while the darkness is, of course, not the only place that silence can be found, there is for me a special quality to the silence of the darkness that feeds my spirit. And that silence of the darkness also brings an opportunity for reflection. The morning quiet in the darkness is my time of reflection. Yeah, I admit that I sometimes get obsessed with thinking about what the day is going to bring. But when I'm sitting there, that silence can become an invitation for deeper reflection, a time to think about my life, about my work, and all of that in the context of my family and my community and the larger human family. It's a time to pause and be grateful for another day, just the simple gift of life, and for the life that I've been given, and for the multiple wonders of this beautiful world that we live in, bringing a time to reset, to think about where I've gone off track and how to get back on track. You may remember the North Carolina State basketball coach, Jim Valvano, affectionately known as Jimmy V. In 1983, he led his team to an unlikely NCAA championship. And not long after, he was diagnosed with cancer and died at the untimely age of 47. Just weeks before he died, he gave this very famous speech at an award ceremony, a speech in which he maintained that there are three things in life we need to do every day: to laugh, to cry, and to reflect. And I think he's not far off target. With the noise and the busyness of life these days, it may be difficult to find that time and that space to reflect. And to me, it's no coincidence that we find the answers to the questions that most perplex us in those quiet moments of reflection when we're not looking for the answer, right? Often it's the quiet of the silence in which you find the answers to your most challenging and vexing questions. In this holiday season, one of the stories we tell each other is the story of a baby being born long ago in the darkness of night to a poor unwed mother who was forced to give birth far away from home because of the demands of the empire. Now, Christians, of course, attach great meaning to this birth. The baby was Jesus, a man whose life and work stand at the center of the Christian faith. But regardless of how you understand that birth, it's a reminder that there are often powerful things that happen in the darkness beyond our perception. Events that are taking place that we don't even notice. Rome was the center of power at the time of Jesus' birth. No doubt the birth was not even taken note of by the Caesar. And yet the movement surrounding the man Jesus would go on to change the world and challenge the oppression of the empire. In my own tradition, we believe that God works in the contrary. In other words, God does not work through armies and empires and display strength. Instead, God works through the insignificance of a peasant woman who gave birth in a cave. And whether you call that God or the force of goodness in the universe or fate or something else, maybe you can acknowledge with me the powerful things happen beyond our ability to perceive them and see them. A seed sprouts in the crack of a stone, splitting a granite boulder. The indigenous community camps out in their sacred grounds in the cold of winter and rises up against the brutality of their oppressors, and the construction of an oil pipeline is averted. A young teenager with autism shows up at the United Nations to preach to the rich and powerful of the crisis of climate change. And so even in the darkness of a future we cannot see, and a future that often looks grim, we find hope in knowing that there are forces at work that we cannot see, forces for reconciliation, redemption, forces for good. Now, I don't want to give you the pie in the sky impression that the darkness is nothing but good and that there is never danger lurking out there. We do live in a time of metaphorical darkness, when the forces of evil that seemed to be at bay have become unleashed and are now not only public, but often acceptable. And so in a time when the forces of evil are so apparent, the world needs, our communities need those who can be guides in the darkness in a way that provides hope and that takes action for that goodness. Go back to the story of the summer camp night hikes. Someone needed to give those boys the confidence that they were going to be okay in the darkness. Someone needed to lead them, to give them hope, to help them find their way in the darkness. That's who you are, and that's your call. Albert Camus wrote, "In the depths of winter, I finally learned that within me there is an invincible summer." And maybe we can paraphrase. In the depths of the darkness, I finally learned that there is in me invincible light. And so in these days of long darkness, listen, listen, listen. Maybe you are the greatest gift that is found in the darkness.
Thank you, Jim, for those remarks. Please stand now to join in the singing of hymn 241, In the Bleak Midwinter. This, by the way, is probably my personal favorite Christmas carol, and I think, though, everybody's probably aware of, or maybe you are, Christina Rossetti, who wrote the lyrics, but the music was actually written by Gustav Holst, who you may know as the composer of The Planets. So a wonderful, wonderful hymn. 241.
So
are about to have our traditional closure, not exactly a closure, we still have post food and so forth, but of our service, very traditional. And the first thing you need to do is take your hymnal and find Silent Night, which is hymn number 251. The choir will be singing Night of Silence. And at one point, you will be singing Silent Night at the same time. So, the choir will start singing one verse. And at the end of that verse, there will be like a 3-measure interlude before you come in. And I will go 1, 2, 3, so you wait, okay? And then we'll come in with the first verse, Silent Night, and I'll lead you in that while they sing Night of Silence.
I'll extinguish the chalice with closing words by Robert Frost. Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though he will not mind me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near. Between the woods and frozen lake this darkest evening of the year, he gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. The only other sounds the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark, and deep. But I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. Merry Christmas. Remember, there is no talk back today, but there is an eat back there, okay? So enjoy.
But if we have notes for you, Nate?
Thank you guys for joining us on a beautiful service. I hope you have a beautiful night.